Thoughts are gone, thoughts don't care. Ghost in my head, thoughts that tear. F941239 branded on my file before I was 5 years clear. They all said the same shit. Better not tell, kid, it'll get way worse in here. Even the real kids whispering threats while their parents steer. Born in a folder, no crib, just a case number and a hearing date. Pills crushed in my juice, whispered waves, turning toddlers into a court case. F943 anxiety, F90 poison, separation ink, they used to label me. Now those same codes turned into calibers, letters load the AR-15. 5156 for the panic attacks, not for the snakes, 223 for the mess they made. Leave me alone! Mrs. Perfect Christian home, still feel your husband's hands on my neck. Leave me alone, night shift worker, keys rattling while you're proud of heart. Leave me alone, caseworker with the crocodile tears, you got paid while I starved through it all. Starved through it all! We the invisibles, aged out the system, no feelings left, just facts and mathematics. Hypervigilant, heart rate flat, rifle fluent, pistol fully automatic. Grown now, pulling up, packing. Only lesson we kept is right from wrong. Now wrong, getting corrected. 30-round hymns in a real dark song. You built a monster, set in trauma, now the monster got drums and a mask. Every face got a name, every name got an address, every address getting dead. Ever one fresh meat, still crying for mama, think reunification real. Level 2, bounce like trash, learning roles in every house they make you feel. Level 3, chameleon bag, never unpacked, visible just enough to eat. Level gray, master read a lie in the blink, route around rules in the street. Level 5, invisible state, on ghost file too thick for any worker to read. Sleeping fragments, exits mapped, made it out so low they know you a different breed. We the invisibles, age of the system, no feelings left, just facts and mathematics. Hypervigilant, heart rate flat, rifle fluent, pistol fully automatic. Grown now, pulling up, packing. Only lesson we kept is right from wrong. Now wrong, getting corrected. 30-round hymns in a real dark song. F94 through a 5 pop 6, F93 to a full auto switch, F94 to reactive, that's why the AR twitch. 9 millis for the snakes that smile in your face, 223s for the nights they said this hurts me more, while they finish the chase. Every code they wrote, every caliber, every lie became a round. Every better not tell turned into a reason. We outside right now. Seen kids get walked out the back at 3 a.m. Staff pockets fat, no sound. One phone call, file closed, another invisible. Never found. They pray we don't de-lock forever or read the barrel in despair. But the ones who survive remember every smell, every room, every stare. Thoughts are gone, thoughts aren't care. Ghost in my head, thoughts that tear. We're the invisible, aged out, fully loaded, no fear, strapped heavy, heart on zero. Just a pulse and a plan. Right from wrong is all we know, and wrong finna meet the whole fam. Pulling up quiet, windows down, 30-round lullaby. Invoice for every tear, every touch, every read, better not tell. This is the correction. Pred's gone dead. 2, 2, 3, good night. He calls it the reckoning. Blount County started it. Blount County started it. Kentucky doubled down. Gunner and Sharon are finishing it. Shadows where the black bears roam. They kicked in Gunner's door trying to steal his home. No war and no crime, just badges and a grin. But they forgot one thing, mountain men don't bend. He looked him in the eyes and said, you just signed your fate. You touched my blood, now feel the reckoning's weight.
Hear the Smokies roar, hey!
In Kentucky weep,
Hey! This is the reckoning. Gunner Evers calls it down.
Blount County burning to the ground. Kentucky CPS on their knees tonight. Retaliation thieves gonna lose this fight.
The reckoning is here.
Wake up America, draw near. For every stolen child, for every mother's tear. The reckoning is here. Sharon stood like stone when Kentucky crossed the line. Took her babies for revenge, thought they'd break her spine. But every tear she cried turned into molten steel.
Molten steel.
Forged a blade called justice that no court can conceal. From Maryville to Frankfurt, the corrupt began to run. They woke the sleeping giant, and the reckoning begun. Now 1 million parents marched with torches in their hands, from the hollers to the cities, across these stolen lands. Gunner's voice on the podcast was the battle horn blast. Every episode another nail in the empire's casket. He named the day, he named the hour, he named the final stand. He called it the reckoning. Now it's sweeping the land. This is not politics.
This is not left wing.
This is not left or right.
It's not left or right.
This is the line in the dirt where parents say, not one more child tonight.
Gunner Evers drew it.
Sharon Evers holds it.
America crosses it together.
When the last courthouse falls and the last black robe burns, when the last caseworker flees and the last stolen child returns, we'll raise a monument on the ashes of their throne, carved in Tennessee granite with these words alone. Here died tyranny at the hands of a dad and mom. The reckoning came, 2020 seats the storm.
This is the reckoning. Gunner Evers spoke it loud. Blount County in ruins. Kentucky in a shroud. CPS is finished. Hear the death knell ring. Every stolen child coming home on angel wings.
The reckoning is here. America, no more fear. Gunner,
Sharon,
your name's forever. The reckoning is now, and it's eternal.
the reckoning. Hey, hey, the reckoning. The reckoning.
Mommy and Daddy are bringing us home. The reckoning. The reckoning. America is free again.
Hey, look. This for every mama got her baby snatched on some bogus shit. For every pops they locked out the crib like he ain't blood. CPS, y'all been eating off pain for too long. We know what you on. But now it's war, there's gun and foe. CPS. Kick doors, no warrants, they taking our seeds. Say it's neglect, but they planting they greed. Feds in they pocket, judge got a fee. Run it like a business, adoption spree. Contracts overseas, got partners in France. But shorty from Shy, he ain't get a chance. Mama work 2 jobs, daddy do right, but they still snatch his baby in the middle of the night. Fuck CPS, they ain't saving shit. Just a system full of snakes getting rich off kids. We see through the cap, we done taken the hit. Now it's Suffer Davis popping and we loaded the clip. Gunna got the case, now we in that fight. Taking this to SCOTUS, shining that light. They ruined good homes, now we flipping that script. Time to bring them back, time to empty the clip. They labeled us monsters, called us unfit, but it's they paperwork dirty, all of it forged and flipped. How the fuck they selling babies to a bidder overseas? Then tell the fam you unworthy. Man, please, we got mamas in pain, daddies in tears. They breaking our hearts, been doing it for years. Now we riding with Gunner, and we got the proof. Sworn under oath, now it's time for truth. Trump got the team and the pen in his hand. He said bring them home, now that's the plan. You feds been hiding, but it's over now. We moving like an army, and we ain't bowing down. Fuck CPS, they ain't saving shit. Just a system full of snakes getting rich off kids. We see through the cap, we done taken the hit. Now it's Suffer Davis popping and we loaded the clip. Gunna got the case, now we in that fight. Taking this to SCOTUS, shining that light. They ruined good homes, now we flipping that script. Time to bring them back, time to empty the clip. They ain't gods, they ain't law, they just people, corrupt people. And when the people rise, ain't no system safe. This Chi-Town, it's the movement. We gunning for CPS, and we coming heavy. Yeah. Wait.
know that the harder thing to do and the right thing to do are usually the same thing. Nothing that has meaning is easy. Easy doesn't enter into grown-up life.
Hate me if you want. I don't care anymore. I won't change who I am just to fit through your door. It is what it is. I make peace with that. 0 fucks to give, and I'm not looking back. I don't care. Hate me.
I'm gonna pull the whole thing down. I'm gonna bring the whole fucking diseased, corrupt temple down on your head. It's gotta be biblical.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of Gunning for CPS. I'm your host, Gunner. And who are we going to piss off today with knowledge and education that will help educate you, the individual, the citizen, the resident of this fair country, my fellow Americans? How about that? These are the things that they should have been teaching us all along. The ability to understand your civil rights, to know your rights, how they're applicable within everyday life, and be able to do basic things such as know your court system or the judicial system that is hidden from all of us. And to start things off, you know, what's kind of funny is, well, everything's going to act a little goofy on, of course. So let's see if this will work tonight. We're already starting with things having issues. Don't know why. Well, yeah, we know why. But a lot of you guys don't understand, this goes back, all the way from the Clinton era. Things that were, a lot of people don't realize is the insinuations that were done, the abilities to do what they do today. And that's a lot of the things that we expose as things that a lot of people don't understand is actually out there, um, that a lot of people just don't understand, that's available, or what has happened in our society, or um, in anything that's ever going on. And that's what we're here to do, is to educate you guys, to make you an informed person, on what exactly is going on in our country, in our lives, how it fits together, tie everything together the best we can to get people to understand. um, but there's a lot of things that are going on that a lot of people don't understand. um, and this is how they've played, and they've gotten away with stuff as long as they have. And there's a lot of things, especially one thing. And I found this one guy, he's really great. If you guys don't follow him, I would actually recommend just checking this dude out, because he's hilarious. But at the same time, he explains something that a lot of people struggle with: legalese. Okay. So legalese is something, it's a whole different language, especially in the state courts, this and that, of instead of just coming out and using plain language, just basic everyday language, he comes up with things. Well, check this guy out, man. If you guys don't know who he is, like I said, check him out. He's funny, but he does a whole section on legalese. But check this out. I think you'll enjoy it.
I have to say, you're fake. Legalese. Your Constitution is devoid of authenticity. Your Constitution is devoid of authenticity. I have to say,
Yeah, Raja, Raja, does a whole series on this stuff with legalese, and it's kind of entertaining. Yeah, he makes great play, but you learn a lot as you go through that, of what legalese is. And when you begin to understand the language and how they fancy it up, then all of a sudden now you get it. You know what I'm saying? Oh, wow, that's what that means. Yeah, yeah, that's just fancy words for saying basic words. That's all it is. That's all legalese is. Um, but going back around, like I said, that a lot of people don't understand, and there's a lot of people that come up against things to where they're going to challenge who you are as your code, your person, everything else, and you feel so violated to say those have been compromised. And a lot of people don't have those, and they don't know what they are. But it's something that says, I will have honor, integrity, and respect. And it's the thing I've always raised my children, or did my best to raise my children to do. And knowing that you're going to do the right thing, even when nobody's looking, even when it hurts, even though it affects, a ton of people. Yeah. And you'll have to forgive me. I guess my headset has decided to, I've been in and out of meetings all week. Matter of fact, I was on, I think it's called Resolution Exposure, that was here in Blount County, Tennessee. It's a local podcast that I was a guest on. And I believe I have another one on Resolute Exposure. And let me see, this Thursday, I think. So, yeah, if you guys are in Blount County, Tennessee, and you watch the show, you catch out the show, you guys probably know about this. It's voting's coming up and everything else, and mass exposure has been going on, pedophilia like crazy. And I actually learned, I forget the name of the word, but pedophilia. I actually met with a doctor this week, a person that has a doctorate in this stuff and actually teaches nationwide. On what makes or what combines, the study of these people that are pedophiles. But there's actually another name for it. Pedophiles is actually really, really young. And the thing that surprised me when I was on this podcast with her, and I was very curious, but the youngest child that's ever been SA'd in America is 4 months old. And that's on the record here in the United States. That's scary. and who would ever. I mean, it blows my mind. But there's another word when they're like older, not really, teenage or preteen, like that in between stage. There's another word, and I can't remember the word of it. Maybe you guys out there, if you're watching the show, you know what this terminology is. Please put it in the comments. Hey, James, good to see you. ZZ 8-22, hello. We try to, we do see the comments here. We did just join. I'm trying to think of the name of it. We have a new platform we're actually going to broadcast on is Rumble. So we're actually on Rumble Studios, and it's under Gunner OG that's there. So we'll be broadcasting now on Rumble. So we're expanding our base of where we can see. So our next show, I think, is going to turn around and be broadcasting on Rumble. So we're going to hit a larger audience now. I was encouraged to do that with, like I said, the Resolute Exposure. That was their main platform. So to be on their show, I kind of had to sign up for that stuff. And then, and so it naturally, I'm like, well, I'll just add it to one of my platforms. Why not? So we went ahead and did that. Now I've just got it connected. So we'll do that for the next show. So we'll be live on Rumble next week. So keep that in mind. So now we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on Rumble. So we're expanding. Of course, we're still banned from TikTok for misinformation, for educating people. Is just crazy. Hey, there's Tammy. Good to see you. We have a lot of regulars and stuff on the show. So yeah, if you guys are watching this, definitely chime in, say hello. And, definitely, we want your interaction with all this stuff. But finding out about, like I said, that guy with the legalese, definitely check him out. But there's a lot. Let me share this next video that I found that explains a lot. And this is going on how they're able to actually lie to you, which blows my mind that they're even able to do this. But yeah, it's legal to lie, and that was done by the Obama administration. Here, watch the video.
Barack Obama signed a bill canceling out the Smith-Mundt Act in 2012, and it passed part of the National Defense Authorization Act for the fiscal year of 2013. Before 2012, going all the way back 60 years at the time, the U.S. government-funded media was restricted from distributing propaganda in the United States. So basically, that act was to prevent domestic propaganda. But Obama signed a bill, so that means they can lie through their teeth. It's all lies. To cancel out a bill that prevented domestic propaganda. So basically, when he signed a bill, those materials can be accessed within the U.S. American journalists and researchers can request or view the same content that's broadcast overseas and play it right here in the United States.
Yeah, so that's wow, lie to the American people. I think that's a real problem. I think it's something the current administration needs to actually address, is to go back to that, which I believe some of that has been done. But once again, the fact that our government is based off of, or our country is based off of, we the people, we run this. These are elected and appointed officials and actors. That's it. And they are constrained by the Constitution. But we derive our freedoms from the Declaration of Independence. That a lot of people, well, we derive our freedoms from the Constitution. No, we derive our freedoms from the Declaration of Independence. And it gives us the framework of mind as an American with the concept of tyranny. And that if it ever comes in or does the thing, because if you read the Declaration of Independence, it deals with the complaints against King George that took and said, hey, listen, this, we don't agree with this. This is tyranny. These are things, taxation without representation, all these different things that are in here. And it even talks about, they know it's going to happen again. The founding fathers were so intelligent to know that they didn't know everything, but they also knew that nothing stays the same. And that many attempts will come in to try and overthrow not our democracy, but our constitutional republic. Because we don't have a democracy, we have a constitutional republic. It's right in there. It's not even found like I said, within the Constitution, we have a constitutional republic. You know, to the republic, for which it stands. You know, those type of things that we need to grasp a hold of. And like I said, a lot of these states that are wrapped in statutes and codes and understanding, there's, you know, they're not even operating legally, states are not, or constitutionally, I should say. Hello, Debbie. And here, let's, you know, like I said, we found a great little video. I said we've done some stuff here, but I wanted to share this with you, especially this one here tonight. And this goes back into, and this gives you some great reference material. So if you got a pen and paper, make sure you write this down, these two books, because if you don't have them in your library or in your study materials, these are automatic great reference tools to use to understand. But check this out.
He once told me that the admiralty jurisdiction doesn't exist. Conflicts of law. West, from the horse's mouth. Federal courts in admiralty must apply the forum state's long-arm statute through Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, 4K1A, because the application of the state's long-arm statute brings within the same constitutional limitation application to the state courts. Federal courts and admiralty hearings and personam actions generally have personal jurisdiction over the defendants if they have a minimum contact with the state forum. Black's Law, 10th edition. Minimum contacts. A non-resident defendant's forum state connections such as business activities or actions foreseeably leading to business activities that are substantial enough to bring the defendant within the forum state's personal jurisdiction. Ladies and gentlemen, you're doing business with the U.S. corporation. An attorney once...
So guys, it's not a joke. It's proven even within the documents. States are interacting with us on a business sense, and that's how they're entrapping you in these state courts that we shouldn't be. Why? Because the civil court was designed for contract law, contract between business and business, okay, or even personal. You know, you're acting in business. In other words, those type of things, contract law, this and that, and keep that in mind too when you're going through some of this stuff. And to connect the dots with this one, look at things as contract law, that they're violating contract law, especially CPS, you know, the courts, this and that. Hey, you know, I haven't signed a contract. I have nothing with you. I don't agree, you know, to any of this. You're throwing me into something. I've never signed a contract with them. And that puts them in a particular pickle too, and say, produce the contract. There's no contract. Well, then where's your jurisdiction? And these are questions you have to ask. And once again, we got that defaults back to Article 3, Section 2, Clause 2 of the U.S. Constitution. In all matters where the state is a party, that even includes CPS. The Supreme Court or the federal court has original jurisdiction. Then why are family courts hearing CPS cases? Because it's illegal. There's no clause that there's an exception to CPS. The Constitution is extremely clear. Yes, it is one of the topics we will be filing on in federal court to ask the federal court, are these even legal procedures? Are they constitutional? And if they come back and the judge answers, the constitutional judge comes back and answers and says, no, family court, when it comes to matters with CPS, yes, we do have original jurisdiction, and no, states cannot hear this. They're going to have an argument or an answer for this, and it has to be constitutionally sound. That's going to hurt, because if that's true, then they have been having illegal courts across, we'll say, the state of Tennessee. Once again, if you guys don't know how that procedure works, you go, you win a case, it's odd, and then it becomes case law. If they don't appeal it, it just stays within the division. We're in Division 6 of the federal courts, which affects Tennessee, Kentucky, Ohio, and Michigan. So it would automatically kick in those areas as effective case law. You must suspend those things. Now, we expect them to take and turn around and, of course, probably appeal it, which once they appeal it and then it's heard and then it's still shot down, then it becomes national case law, which means all family courts across the whole United States upon appeal and then decision. And we hope we would look that it would be in our favor and agree with the previous ruling. Yeah, it's unconstitutional. That means every court has to shut down by the federal courts, has shut down family CPS cases in federal or family court, which means anybody that's ever been through a family law case now can file 1983 charges as far back as it goes, because there's no, once again, there's no statute of limitation on constitutional rights violations. So this means you've been having family courts. Does that mean the kids come home, Gunner? Yes. Yes, it means they all come home, unless there was a criminal case that was adjudicated. A little bit different situation, but we're talking about CPS that's running to these family courts. They're done. It stops it all. Upon that ruling, they must abide by it. That means they would not hear anything. They would have to meet a federal standard to move forward in a CPS case against you, because they are a member of the other. Debbie, well, I don't know what it is you're wanting to talk about. You can put it in the comments, or you can, I think we're up on Facebook. If you've got something there, hit me up with a DM. I'm not ignoring you, just trying to move along here. You know, like I said, we pack a lot of things in these shows. And like I said, it's Easter. So happy Easter to those of you that celebrate amongst the different religions. I know a lot of people did a lot of things, did church, did family get together, so on and so forth. Some of us were just buried in the book and in the law, just trying to fight for all, you know, everything on my own personal rights, as well as for you guys. I have a DHSTH. I don't know what that is. We could probably, a little bit more detail there would help Debbie. I think some of it didn't come through. But I, you know, for, you know, like I said, for Obama to lie, and like I said, with the Epstein stuff and everything else that's going on, supposedly Pam Bondi is being asked to step down. The scuttlebutt, or the rumor that's going around that I really like, is that, if you guys remember Judge Judy used to be on TV. Yes, she was actually taking over the District of Columbia area, and man, she has got no sense. She knows rights. She abides by it. She does, you know, constitutionally, the whole thing. We've got to bring constitutionally to the family courtroom. We got to bring cameras to the family courtroom. You know, we've got to do this. This has got to stop. And that's huge. I have paperwork signed and notarized. Okay, it just depends on what that medical is. Is it for your daughter? Is it for yourself? Was it, I mean, if you've got it done and notarized and it wasn't put on the Department of Human Services, it's the major direction that they come from. It's where they spawn off of. The CPS, whatever you want to call it. The cabinet, the Department of Children and Family Services are all under the Department of Health Services, DHS, which also goes to the federalized things of the Department of Health and Human Services, which is run by Senator Kennedy, which falls under the the directive of the executive branch of government. Is how that hierarchy goes. So yes, they answer to the president. At any given time, he could shut it all off, cut it down, anything else he wants to do. Definitely, Debbie, get up with me after the show. Like I said, send me some more detailed messages. There's a lot of questions. Oh, I see you popping up there. But there's a lot of things out there. But the thing I didn't understand is with this, and this is where we have got to get together. We've got to get emotions aside. We've got to get personal feelings aside, especially with the Epstein stuff going on like it has. So, you know, you've got to take and get those things. Yeah, Debbie, I did get your message just now. Yeah, that's something you need to get on the record and show them. So if you've got that stuff and it just wasn't found, it becomes new evidence because it was newly discovered. File it appropriately. If you haven't done an appeal, this would be a good basis for appeal. That would take and do a lot of those things that people have pursued. Once again, choose your own. There's a lot of different things, and every state is different, like I said, but definitely that's a great document to find. This is why it's so important, guys. Let's put it out here. File your paperwork. Don't lose it. Find it in an order. I mean, if you don't know how to file, get with somebody that has good organizational skills, especially with your case and everything going on, to where you can quickly find these things, review them. And I know with as you're going through things, you're so overwhelmed with everything that's going on, and you can't see straight. And your main goal is like, oh, I want to get my kids back, or hey, I'm trying to get my name clear, or trying to do this and this, that, all these different things that are going on. And it's meant to keep you on your toes so you don't get organized, you don't get information, you don't get informed, you don't know about the ADA, you don't know about the Title II person that's supposed to be there in the courtroom with you to making sure that you've got everything you need, and it's just not happening. So once again, they don't want you to know that. Why? Because it slows everything down, and it's not, the legal term, business as usual, because they want to fast track you and make as much money as they can. So that's a huge thing. Well, there went the thing. Let me turn that back on. It's been acting goofy. Sorry, guys. Yeah, going through everything has just been a pain in the butt. What's been going on with the case? It's been a while, homeschooling so much time. Miss Bramston, so what we ended up doing was, on the state case, we have a Rule 60 in. It's actually specifically Rule 60.02 and 60.05 that was filed back on the original court. And what 60.02 is fraud. And it bypasses everything else and stuff like that, but it resets your counter. 60.05 says there's extenuating circumstances on your filing. In other words, you had an issue with, say, ADA wasn't given, you had a health crisis, there's been a law change, all these things have to be filed appropriately. These are same things that are very similar to a void ab initio. They've just reclassified them, and every state's different, but I know that Tennessee and Kentucky both have Rule 60s, and they mimic is Rule 60 of Federal Rules of Civil Procedure. And this is outside in a way, it's kind of like an appeal, but it's not. It's saying, hey, judge, you messed something up, or this happened, or that happened, or, this wasn't followed the rules of evidence, this, and that. All these things that were going on. And here's intricate fraud. And now I'm bringing it to the court's attention. Maybe you missed this. Well, you got to make sure that you cover your butt, like what we did, saying, hey, well, now the judge can't hear it. Why? Because the judge is a witness. I have to have and they have a separate hearing. And the only thing the hearing's about for a Rule 60 hearing is the evidence and everything you've turned in, and then they have to respond. And if it's something that doesn't exist, like evidence or the rules of evidence or something that's already happened, they can't get out of it. Now they've got a problem. Well, we escalated it beyond that to where we did what was called the, I'm trying to think of it now. Constitutional questions doctrine is what it's called. It's around that area. So you have a question about the constitutionality of something within the state's constitution or the federal constitution, which then you have to put in a stay or a motion to leave to have these answered. Then that goes to the Attorney General. That's where I'm at now. The Attorney General should have the case in reviewing it, and if they can't give the answers, well, then they have to file a 1983 with the federal court and then ask the federal court the questions and get the proper answers. And it's covering their butt. It's a process. It does take time, but they have to follow this very specifically because it's very serious. But this is stuff your basic attorneys won't file. Why? Because you got to understand, you're just one client to them. When you file a Rule 60, you're talking about pointing out the errors of your judge, your magistrate, the GAL, the CPS attorney, everybody else that's on that side, and you get to just hammer the shit out of them in that filing saying you broke policy, procedure, law, the state's constitution, this, and you make your details, you make your argument, you show your evidence, everything else like that. And then they come in and go, oh, yeah, we need to correct this. That's before the appellate court. Now, if you don't get the decision you want in that Rule 60, it opens up and resets your window for the appeals court. So then you're going to file in the appellate court because you want to overturn the Rule 60 ruling, not the actual case, but the Rule 60. Now, it does affect it directly, as in you're asking it to be dismissed. You're asking it to be voided, void ab initio, because of stuff like fraud and everything else. That's what we filed under. But it was not an easy filing, and I believe we made it public. You guys can go back on my page if you follow me on Facebook. You guys can see that. And I don't know. I think, let me double check here. Okay, James was watching it, so Facebook is coming through in the comments. So that's where we're at on that. We just refiling the federal case. The first one, some things went on, regardless of what it was. We couldn't get in for digital filing, even though the judge said we could, but the court clerk screwed up and didn't give us access except for the last 2 days. And by that time, the magistrate had already written their review, and then the judge had already ruled on it. I mean, we've still got filings on it, but basically the court clerk screwed us with those particular things. Constitutional questions doctrine. Yeah. Stay, leave, attorney general. Yep. And yeah, they would file this and that for this and that. Yep. You got it. You got it, Michelle. Or I'm sorry, Michael and Jennifer Breps. And I don't know why I say Michelle. I just want to do that thing. I got mixed up from something earlier. Sorry about that. But that's where we're at. But like I said, our new federal filing, once we get it done, it's in. We will be releasing the initial filing. We will be filing under 1983, 1985, and 1986 under the False Claims Act and a whistleblower. So this new filing is completely different than anything else, and it hammers everybody and puts them in a corner. I was talking to a few others that, yes, it will come with a $685 billion price tag plus. Gunnar, what do you mean plus? That also includes any money recovered under the Whistleblower Act or anything under the False Claims Act to be calculated. In other words, here's your initial lump sum. Here's that. Now, that's just what we're asking. Doesn't mean you'll always get. Let's be clear on that. But the idea was to grip their attention of saying, we have you by the balls. You're screwed. That's how strong our case is. And it's one of those things that I was, someone did take and give me a conversation of saying, if it's that bad, they may take and push for mediation. Listen, we'll meet all of your demands and we'll do it this particular way. But so you don't get the False Claims Act in there, you don't get this. We're just going to bump it up X amount of dollars more. But we want to take and do this with, say, not really a non-disclosure or like that. We're going to pay it, but there's going to have to be some sort of thing. We don't want it to go to trial. Why? We don't want you establishing case law, and they can manipulate the courts there. Once again, we can amend it and say, okay, well, we're going to raise it because if you're willing to pay that much out from the very beginning to cover your ass, then that scares the shit out of you. And that's what we want to do. The idea is to end this corruption, end these unconstitutional courts, and ask the questions that's what the court's for, is to answer them. Is this constitutional? And if it's not, it must be torn down. And everybody that has experienced it, even from the very beginning, this particular way, now has to be compensated. Then you're talking about some lawyer coming up and realizing this after we've done all the work, instead of you guys doing your individual cases. You're going to find somebody on TV, probably especially in those states that it affects, right away. And if they appeal it, then it's nationwide. Now we got a real problem. Why? Everybody, kids has to come back home. You have to file certain things of saying, I want my kid back and I want X amount of dollars too. Now we bankrupt the system. Now CPS can't get insured. Or you get like California, and now you're self-insured. Good luck with that, because your courts, now you have to go to the federal courts on every CPS case. How do you like them apples? What's family court then for? Juvenile court, juvenile delinquents, people that are underage, in divorce court. That's it. That's it. It's enough to enforce everything, but it's also enough to get the president's attention of saying, if that's true, Your Honor, and this is the ruling, this now needs to be brought to the president's thing, because it's under their directive. And you're right, Jennifer, they won't buck the system. And here's why. And this is why they won't file stuff like Rule 60s and everything else. And it's mainly because it's business as usual. You're one client. They're going to have to see the same people in another case with another client in another courtroom. And this is the biggest problem. This brings in the bias. This is why these cases should never have been in local court. The extreme amount of bias. You go to a federal court on CPS cases, you're going to have to deal with everything constitutionally. And if you didn't have a warrant when you entered, case thrown out. They'll be throwing cases out left and right, the federal court, with the way they all operate right now. Yeah, and absolutely, they're supposed to. The Constitution hasn't changed, and the state can write whatever the fuck they want. But let me tell you something right away. If it's unconstitutional, it's illegal. You'll have to shut it down. And then you've woken people up. Now it's illegal. You can't have these courts, and we're going to have courts as usual. Oh, hell no. And this is the next clip. Now, if you guys don't know my buddy, Jerry, Jerry, we've gone back and forth. He's watched the show. And if you see him, tag him in this show. Jerry Reed, great guy, man. Tons of information. Some people said he gets a little bit off on things, but he's got a lot of meat in what he says. And this one here in particular is, I get it, especially after the Epstein stuff was released. Why didn't we raise up? Well, this is what Jerry has to say.
Getting it when 150 million, 200 million Americans all get up off of their ass, get out on the street, walk their ass up and say, Judge, you violate the Constitution. You will do it no more or you will die. Get out of that chair. We the people say no. When you do that, this shit ends.
Tell me Jerry's wrong. You can't. The power belongs with us, the people. No, it's not retaliation. No, it's not a rebellion. It's enforcing the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, which they must abide by. I mean, it says that if you do anything other, the penalties are extremely high. I mean, especially for judges to violate the Constitution and their oath is an act of treason. They should be put to death for violating the Constitution. If not, they should never sit in that chair. But I'm saying that not as my opinion. I'm telling you that's what the Constitution says. That's of such high regard. But once again, the Constitution has become a second piece of paper that states don't follow because they have what? Statutes and codes, because they're used to doing with business. But even statutes and codes, policies and procedures by all government agencies and subcontractors must be constitutionally sound. Must be. It's a requirement. The fact that these bastards are doing what they're doing and passing what they're passing, I think, I forgot what state it was. Oh God, I was just watching that earlier. Yeah, there was a case that had come up that they were getting ready. I think it was in Tennessee, talking about being able to do something that is, unconstitutional, and they were going to pass it, or it did pass. And if they enforce it, it's unconstitutional. It's like, what the hell are you doing? What the hell are these lawmakers doing? Yeah, is anybody reading the Constitution, or we're just passing and doing what we please? I don't get it. I want somebody to explain it to me as though I'm a 5-year-old child. Why doesn't the Constitution apply? What is the Constitution from, if you're in public school, from kindergarten all the way to high school? Why aren't we taught our rights and how they apply in each and every day? Because it would contradict what public education does, which is conformity and tyranny. Why? I don't have to talk to you, teacher. I don't have to tell you a damn thing. I have rights. No, you can't touch me. Can't lay hands on me, this and that. It's a violation of my Fourth Amendment rights. No. And here's the thing. They get parents, and I caught them here in Blount County a long time ago. And that's when they sent back these handbooks, and they said, hey, this is the handbooks for the kids. Here and here, this is rules they must abide by, or this and that if they're going to go to school, and we need the parents, them to sign it and the parents to sign it. I sent it back. I said, I'm not signing that shit. I go, why? I said, because I'm not giving away my kids' constitutional rights. You can kiss my ass. And if you say that's a prerequisite to attend public school, well, now we got a bigger issue, because I'm going to sue the fuck out of you, and I will shut down your school system. And I will stir these parents because they don't understand. And when I started educating parents, even back then, they hated me for it. Why? I'm not giving, when you sign that paper, you're signing over your kid's constitutional rights to the state, or the school becomes the parent. They have the ability and the control. The other thing is that they got slick, and this is where they wrapped a lot of shit in, is when you sign that and it was good for, I believe, a year. That wasn't just when they were on school property. Yeah. Ouch. Don't ever sign anything. Your signature has power. Your signature gives permission. And those that can't do a signature, writing cursive, that means they can't contract. So if your kids don't know how to sign their name in cursive, that's not a signature, because believe it or not, you go to print it or anything else, they will literally, they can tell you, they can reject it. That is not your signature, because it's all, in standard form. Doesn't matter. When you can't or anything else, they'll tell you just put an X, and then somebody has to witness, sign that you did that X. There's all sorts of things they don't tell you, because that goes all the way back to contract law. And those are the things they don't want you to know. And that's what's scary. When we don't know those things, we don't know how to fight. But you go into the schools, I mean, it's been everything about changing the math to Common Core, which was garbage. Worst thing I've ever seen in my junk, absolute junk. Matter of fact, it was meant to dumb people down. If you go back and look at the originators that actually did it, they said that the white kids were getting too smart. So what do? Do we bring up the bottom and make it meet where the standard is? No, the Department of Education says we need to dumb these down to here. Why? Because it means more control, easier manipulation. That's who was leading our country. That was the history, let alone everything else that's been covered up. That's now it's public. It's everything's coming out now, man. And if you're hearing, like in Blount County, in Tennessee, the stuff that's going on, if you guys don't follow, if you're in Tennessee, I highly recommend just follow Connie Reguli. She has a lot of good stuff too, and stuff that she shares. And she was based out of Tennessee, so she's very knowledgeable in a lot of those things. But once again, do your own research, fight your own fight, and look for, once again, think outside the box, man. Because thinking inside the box, that's exactly where they want you to be, is playing the box. And that's what they do. And when you upset that box and you start calling them out, that their policies and procedures and codes, and go, here's the stuff you're required to do, as like a checklist. You didn't do this. You didn't do this. You didn't do this. Hey, we had a deadline. You didn't do that. But you expected your attorney to know that. But they don't, because it's business as usual. And that was the stuff that was going on. And a lot of cases I follow with and everything else, there's a lot of stuff. But, we talked earlier in the show about honor, integrity, and respect, and integrity being the doing the right thing, even when nobody's looking. And it was funny. My daughter said to me the other day, she goes, Dad, There's not a lot of people like you left anymore that are like that. Yeah, I know. But that's where it needs to change. That's what we need to inspire in each other, is to stand up and do the right thing and don't compromise. And when they know you're that type of person that has a resolute, that you have a resolve, that you won't compromise your principles or your integrity, that you won't give exceptions, that a lot of things are black and white, and the Constitution's black and white. Let's make sure that this is clear. That is, we can have case law all we want, but the Constitution is absolute. Absolute. It's not meant to negotiate. It's not meant to say, well, it kind of applies here, but it doesn't. Case law is an opinion. The Constitution is absolute. And until we can get that in our minds, as well as the other people in their minds, and they have that concept of, no, this is flexible, or this is flexible. Well, I want this done, so I'm going to pass this. Even in HOAs, even in county boards, even in this and that. Have you checked whether or not this is constitutional? And if you get somebody that stands up and says, listen, that's unconstitutional, well, what do? You file it right before a 1983 court. If you're not going to take and do your due diligence, we'll go to the court. And now, why do the people have to pay for that? I believe that particular thing, when you talk about statutes and codes and everything else, that they should be going to the law library and getting this signed off on, saying, yes, it meets the state this, and it also meets the U.S. Constitution. They're not doing this. Even state legislators are not doing this. Why? Because they're passing things for gun control. Shall not be infringed. That means anything. No, it's an absolute, and they don't like that. Well, we have to do this. It wasn't there for hunting. It wasn't there for anything else. It was the fact that if our government, our elected and appointed officials and actors, became tyrannical, that we, the people, had the ability to remove them by any means necessary. That's what our founding fathers put that in there for. You don't believe me? Do your research. Do your research. Go within the letters and all the other things around, all the conversations and debates that the founding fathers have found in other documents. It's pretty clear. And here's the thing that scared most countries, even when Japan bombed Pearl Harbor. They said, whether we know it or not, we've awakened a sleeping giant. Because we have more guns in America than anywhere else. You take, not the veterans, not anything else, just the registered hunters, 2 states, Michigan, Wisconsin, outnumbers any military force in the world. That's not including all the rest, the other 48 states. That's what gave us respect and brought us to be who we are even today. We're good at shooting things and blowing shit up. Samuel Colt, the man known, like I said, with the Colt revolver, God made men. Samuel Colt made all persons equal. Because a firearm doesn't know a sex, doesn't know a color, doesn't know a gender. Made everybody equal. Learn how to use it. Other countries, you talk about, James, you talk about militias. Go look at the Swiss. Did you know that they're issued military grade weapons in every home, and they're required to certify in it every year, qualify so much practice, this and that? Because they don't have that. They have a militia. If half of our sheriffs would quit following the states and following their duties as assigned to them, because whether they know it or not, they're under the executive branch of the federal government, straight to the president, and that's who they answer to, not the governor, not to anybody else, but to the president for constitutional rights. That's a constitutionally elected sheriff. So how can a state have power over something that's constitutional? They can't. But they've been sliding in their own little handbooks for these sheriffs and training manuals and all this other stuff they've been doing. All 50 states have done it. But there's still one handbook, a federal sheriff's handbook, that still exists to this day, and it's still mandatory to be followed. But all the states have revised it and said, we're not going to use that. We're going to use this one. The states are out of control. It's not at just the federal level. It's at your state level. Mass corruption against the Constitution. Wow, look at time flying. Already an hour. Guys, I don't know. Like I said, things are evolving. And like I said, the other thing that I found true is that truth for people that are consistent and have honor, have integrity, have respect, and value those things and have a code, that the truth always comes out. Those things that were hidden are now revealed. And that's happening all over, even within our country, but even in a lot of other things. There's a lot of things coming out, man, and it's really shocking. And you'd be surprised on people that will compromise their principles, and who they are, or who they say what they believe and who they are. When they come under the fire and under the gun, those are the first people to collapse, man. Just the bottom drops out. What do you do for that? Well, you don't compromise yourself. You do what's right. You follow the truth. You follow that light. And that's one thing that a lot of people, you're right, it's not going. That's why you have to have contracts and everything else. You can't trust hardly anybody anymore with a handshake to hold up to their word, because now I didn't say that, or they'll backtrack, or all this other stuff, and you see it all the time. And we used to have officers or deputies of peace. Peace officers is what they used to call them. Now police officers. That was a spinoff. Those run by incorporated cities. There's a whole different story of that conversation you'll have. And those are appointed officials. Those ain't even elected by the people. They're appointed usually by the mayor. Talk about corruption. Yeah. The power's supposed to rest with us, guys, is what it comes down to. And they've gotten a little big for their britches. And I'm like Jerry says, how much longer, what more is it going to take if we stood up? I mean, really, especially with the CPS, the corruption in the family court systems, all this other stuff that's been going on, if we all stood together and put bullshit aside, it would stop. Because we outnumber them just by pure, and they work for us. We no longer give you permission. They can't operate unless we give them permission to. Go look it up. Constitutionally sound. We give them the power. We delegate the power to those people, and we can remove it. With that which we delegate, we can also remove. But once again, you've got a lot of people, well, I can't recall this one, or I can't do this. Yeah, you can. Under what? What power we've given? We, the people, have the power to remove. We, the people, can vote and remove all of you. You're gone. Well, we can't. There's nothing in there. We can't recall senators. We can't. Yes, you can. You've got to know how to make the argument and articulate it. Why? Because the power's derived from the people. And if you're not doing what it says, we have the ability to move at any time. Look it up. I don't give a shit what the state says you can or you can't do. The Constitution says otherwise. And that is the law of the land. And it's what every state, when they joined this union, origination of your statehood, signed that contract to agree to that same thing, that everything must be constitutionally sound. And it's not. But we, the people, have got to not just wake up. We've got to do something about it. We've got to stand. And the stuff that's going on here in Blount County, Tennessee, and I'm sure they're going to watch this on the rebound. And, you got to stop with the corruption, man. You got to do what's constitutionally sound. You are not doing right by We, the people in the county, you are driven by greed and power, and you have no respect for the Constitution. And it's disgusting to put a dollar before a life or before the Constitution. It's just paper. Once again, what's that old saying? And people say, well, the root of evil is all, is the root of all evil. No, that's not what it says. It says, for the love of money is the root of all evil. Putting it before everything else, that power, that money, and everything else. That's where the corruption starts. That's where the greed starts. And it's just a piece of paper. We used to know that as a nation. It didn't matter. We used to know what family was. We went through the Great Depression. We went through so much other stuff before that. And good news, I just seen something, I guess, I did see for Florida. Florida did pass the fact that they are going to be doing away with property taxes. The vote was in. A great vote. Local governments are in deep shit. When it comes to that, and I hope all 50 states pass that. I really do. So there's a lot to that. That would mean a lot of difference. I couldn't tell you how many people have lost their home due to bullshit property taxes. It's so high, let alone it's not based off the actual, purchasing price. They get to, you got to pay that every year. What the hell's with that? And let alone, well, your house is worth this, and this is what we say it's for. And then the housing market stuff crashed out, and then everybody's like, well, wait a minute, you can't get that taxes. Why? The housing market, just why? What used to be worth, 275,000, it's now only worth 110. Why are you still taxing me at that rate? There was a lot of that. And actually, they didn't like me, because when I had a commercial shop, I actually argued that. I said, the square footage hasn't changed. The lot hasn't changed. Well, you fixed up a bunch of stuff inside. I says, so you're telling me you base the taxes off of whether or not I did renovations or not? I said, that's not the way that it reads. It's based off of lot size and building size. And I have not changed any of that. I'm not paying that. And I will take you to court, because you are operating outside of what you're allowed to do. They didn't like that I knew that. It pissed them off bad. I had 2 assessors down in that building. Said, you can't do this. This is illegal. I will take you to court. And if I sell it, yeah, you're right. But I only paid so much for this less than so many months ago, rehabbed the building, so on and so forth. The walls didn't change. The outside perimeter of the building didn't change. The lot size didn't change. Taxes are the same. If not, that's discrimination. You're basing what it would earn or anything else. I'm occupying it. It's not, I'm not doing it for, like I said, it's not the particular thing for it. That was a big issue. They hated that. Blount County hated that. I caught them on it and called them out, with everything else. Hey, we say your house is this. Prove it. My house isn't even on the market. How can you say it's worth that much? I only paid X amount of dollars for it. Why are you taxing me more than what I paid for it? There's the other problem, illegal taxation. And if you guys would wake up to that one, I think everybody would have some lawsuits for their local government and start suing the hell out of them for the property taxes and the assessor and everything else. Why? Because it's illegal. It's not what I paid. And how many times are you going to tax me? Because didn't I pay a tax when I bought the house? Oh yeah, go look at your paperwork. You did. So why am I getting charged a maintenance tax every year? You're supposed to be collecting off businesses, not off of people. Once again, you cross the line. They tricked everybody into that. This is how we can interact with you and everything else. Under the Constitution, if we truly lived under it, you couldn't interact with me unless I took and harmed somebody or damaged somebody's property. Other than that, you're not supposed to be messing with me or even interacting with me unless I'm interacting as something as a business. It's the way it's read. I go look it up. You don't believe me. That's not sovereign. That's not, I'm this, I'm that. No. It's the way it was designed. But how many of these different cases and everything else, you're going to a court case, this, that, and it's so much bias, especially family courts. Why? Judge gets paid by the state. CPS gets paid by the state. GALs get paid by the state. CPS attorney gets paid by the state. Other things, CAC centers and some of these other people that come through here, they get paid by the as a subcontractor through the state. How much more bias do you want in a courtroom? There's a reason our founding fathers put that in the Constitution to stop it, and they're going to really struggle with trying to answer that question. Well, we have this and that, Your Honor. I'm going to stand by the Constitution and what it says. Is not this a state entity? Yes. Then original jurisdiction belongs in the federal court, and they wouldn't get away with 98% of their cases, because the first thing they would do would be violate the Constitution right. Here you go. I've met with them. I've knocked on their door. I coerce my way into the house, and here's the report that I've been in the house. They literally snitch on themselves. Literally. Where's your warrant? Well, I didn't have a warrant. The state says I have the ability. Why? Because it's in the name of the children. It doesn't matter what flag you fly. Don't matter what excuse you give. Constitutional is absolute. You cannot. Absolutely cannot. That one's going to hurt, because now they got to come up with it. Well, we're deemed of this. This has nothing to do with divorce. This has nothing to do with this and that. You're having criminal court and civil court with CPS against you, and everything is stacked against you. How is that fair? It's so damn biased, you cannot get a fair trial, which is what everybody across this nation is up in arms about. Had their children taken, their families destroyed, and everything else because CPS, because they said, well, we can take care of this and we can do it on there, because they wanted to hide the Constitution. They were dumbing everybody down till we come up with the question of saying, hey, I need an answer to this. What are you going to do? Because you understand, once you wave that flag and you get a judgment, it then becomes a court enforceable order that then even the U.S. Marshals have to come down and get control of it. And it ain't going to be like Chicago or anything. Well, we're not going to allow federal agents this, that. Oh, no, you will not operate unconstitutionally, because now you're considered a traitor. Yeah, it changes things a little bit, doesn't it? But people don't catch this. But once you do, and they hit somebody, and it was just a matter of time, they know this thing's only going to last for so long, and eventually it's going to go away. Leave the people alone. If a crime's happened, we have a sheriff's department where true child abuse. And let me tell you something. If you're in Tennessee, look, and you guys have been through your cases, and they're trying to convict you, we'll say, in the civil court. I want you to pay special attention, even in your own state. Look at the code they give you. See whether or not it's a civil code or a criminal code. Now, the excuse that they'll give you is, we have the right to take it out of criminal code in a civil case. You're right. If they've already been adjudicated in the criminal court and it's been confirmed, then you absolutely can. But if there's not, in Tennessee, you just violated the Tennessee Constitution. Why? We've shown that to you before. Article 1, number 14. No person shall be held accountable for a crime if they have not been presented, indicted, or impeached. And when none of those have happened, you can't hold them with a criminal code, because it violates the own state's constitution. You now have a problem. And there are so many people across Tennessee that are dealing with this. Plug into the state's constitution. Do the constitutional question. Ask the state attorney general if you've got this. Hey, they're trying to take and accuse me of, what's my accusations? Give me the codes that you're going to try and put on me in my file. You have every right to ask that. I want a motion for what you're going after. For what code did you say I'm breaking, or what are you trying to impress and get a ruling on? I want you to put it in writing. Then you do the research on that. Oh, wait, that's a criminal code. I've never been to a criminal court on any of this stuff. You can't use that. Why? Because it violates the state's constitution. Oh, now we have a problem. Why? Because then you can send it to the attorney general. under a constitutional questions doctrine. Hey, AG, doesn't this violate Article 1, Section 14 of the state constitution? They're trying to get me on a criminal code, but I've not been adjudicated as a criminal. But they're trying to do it and bypass all that. Gotcha. How many people have got that on their records? And then, hey, you've been substantiated. You can't substantiate somebody without adjudicating them. It's a violation of due process. But they do it all the time. Why? Because it gets them into that cash, that Title IV, as fast as they can. Hey, we substantiated. We need that Title IV money. No. But you got to know what court to find in, guys. That's been the biggest thing we've tried to educate you guys as we've moved forward in this, is file in the right court. Think of it this way. A family court, the lowest court of the land, is like little brother. Supreme Court, Court of Appeals, big brother. Then when you go to federal court, you're going to dad. And dad has no problem whipping out his belt and just laying down with some integrity and respect and whipping the shit out of both of his kids. Yeah. And that can lead to criminal. You guys got to understand too, civil charges and things, if they're found guilty of those things, that can lead to criminal charges. Why? Because they're saying crimes occurred. But guys, we got to learn to fight. We got to learn to educate. We got to learn to come together. Like I said, they've shot down a lot of people. They've exposed a lot of people with this and that. Guys, be transparent. And that's the only thing I've been with you guys. Like I said, transparent with anything. So the multiple attacks I have gone through, I've not faltered. I've stayed true. And when they came at me with bullshit, it was just shooting it down. Just bing, 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 bing. One next. Yeah, that's horseshit. Yeah, that ain't true. Try again, because here's the evidence to do that. I'll argue it like I argue in court. I have supporting evidence for it. Do they? No. All hearsay. Bullshit. No better than CPS. And there's people out there like that, man. You have got to watch people, because people are very peculiar creatures. They will give you their word, say this is who I am, but a lot of times it's not who they are. It's who they hope to be. They misrepresent themselves, and this happens a lot. And then they end up ruining lives. And then you have other people that are very, very damaged, that don't heal. They just feel like they're missing something, or they deserve a relationship, or they deserve this, or they deserve that. They've got no business being involved with anybody, because they're carrying around some really fucked up shit, and they've not healed, or they've forgiven themselves, gone on. And like I said, other circumstances come up, and they're tested again, and they fail. And they just can't win. And then at the same time, those are the same people that turn around and I've heard this from so many people. I don't understand why I'm going through this. I don't understand with this, and that. What have I done? And this, and I go, listen, man, that's for you to examine yourself. Ask that question. What have you done wrong? Because once again, it won't come back void, man. It won't be nullified till it's confessed and it's brought into the light of whatever the hell's going on, and the truth comes out. It's the only way you get vindicated. It's the only way to live. I tell people this all the time. They say, well, Gunner, with your heart condition and everything else, aren't you worried about this? I go, no, I got no problem facing my maker. I'm, clear that I did the best I could with what I had, and I tried to do right by everybody that I possibly could. And I stood up for what was right. I got no problem there. I said at the same time, anybody that truly knows me should know that. So, which is one of those things that I tell a lot of people, listen, man, you don't want to get close to me. You don't want to be one of my closer circles, this and that. Why? I'll hold you accountable. Don't lie to me. And we got a huge problem. but don't ever take and turn around and bend when it comes to things you're supposed to. This is your opportunity to stand for something and do the right thing. And so many people I see fail, um, and just can't, because they thought they were stronger than what they are. And even in that other video that I showed earlier about what's the toughest thing that we have to go through, and it's doing the right thing, and it's the hardest thing you'll ever have to do sometimes. And I don't understand. Like I said, I've seen so many people do that and go through more pain and dig even deeper, and this and that, and they have a chance, like the creator's given them a great thing to where they've had a chance to redeem themselves. I didn't do right in the past, but here comes another opportunity for you to demonstrate that you've changed and you're going to do the right thing. And they just don't. And they fail again. And the concept is you're never going to get over. What was that? There was an old saying with that, and I'm forgetting what it is. You'll have to forgive me. But if you don't learn the lesson, you're something about you. If you don't learn the lesson, you're doomed to repeat the lesson. And a lot of people turn around, well, I don't hear God. I says, listen, man, you don't hear your God or the creator, and it's just quiet and this and that. I'll tell you this much, one thing from personal experiences: the teachers never talk during the test. Maybe that's where it is where you're going to have to suck up and realize who you are and who you truly are and what your measure is, and stand for something and do the right thing. And when you do the right thing, then you've learned the lesson. Otherwise, you're going to keep facing it till you learn the lesson. And the longer you put that lesson off, to be honest with you, every time I've seen it, you're going to hurt somebody else. And you're going to continue to hurt people. And whether you want to or not, it's exactly what you're going to do. But yeah, I mean, here it is again, guys, for you guys. Let me see if I can get this going here. And this holds true. Very true.
Do you know that the harder thing to do and the right thing to do are usually the same thing? Nothing that has meaning is easy. Easy doesn't enter into grown-up life.
Yeah, how many of you guys could say the same thing? Life hasn't been easy, but at the same time, it's kind of been worth it. To fight, to come up those things. I never expected to have to deal with this stuff. Never in my life would I have ever positioned or even thought I would get caught up in anything like this bullshit that I've had to get caught up in, and the corruption and all the other things. I kept my, kind of kept my head down, did my thing, ran my business, was fair to everybody, this and that. And they just come in and they just don't care. And people you don't even know hate you and paint you out to be the worst person in the world with no facts. And they still have to meet that standard. Understand, family court too, especially has to meet the rules of civil procedure. So check into those if you guys are going through and analyzing your stuff. Hey, did they follow the rules of civil procedure? Probably not. And there's even certain sections within the statutes and the codes that even have timelines and this, that, especially for family court. There's a whole section for family court just about in every state. Go find where they're at and learn them for your state and make sure that they're following them. It's all right there. It's all public information. Guys, I hope this has helped you guys out. We've kind of had a low-key show today. Man, we got poured on yesterday. I know spring's coming around the corner like crazy, getting ready to smack everybody in the mouth. We've had 80-degree weather here in East Tennessee. Like I said, we're still working on, as you can see, I'm still here in the main part of the house. I'm still working on they are working on a bedroom to move my stuff over into a small bedroom office area that we're going to do like a little studio. So you're going to see a few changes and stuff like that maybe going on here in the near future, maybe some new music, some new videos, this and that. I hope this has been helpful. Like I said, we've got a lot of stuff going on. Like I said, it just keeps going and going and going. And even if we got to stand by, if I have to stand by myself, I'll stand by myself. It really doesn't bother me. Like I said, I'm used to it because I go places most people won't go. I'll stand for things that most people won't stand for. I go forward with no fear, and that scares them. And like I said, there's a lot that's going to happen, a lot of things that are going to come out, a lot of things that are going to come out in Blount County. Just from that Rule 60 filing has really shooken up this county because of naming names and the corruption and everything else. And then somebody else is going to have to come in and rule on this at the same time. Now the Attorney General knows. And I'm getting a lot of feedback from people. Matter of fact, I was on James, you may be able to help me with that one. That was, I'm trying to see, resolute exposure. If you guys don't know what that is, there's a Facebook page on that. That's a local Blount County, Tennessee page. If you're in Blount County, you definitely want to check out the shows. He does a lot of stuff on Rumble. I think it broadcasts over to Facebook. But of course, the night that I was on, of course, all the nights, go figure, it wouldn't play. So there's kind of a funny, and I just heard, he goes, man, I can't get it to play on Facebook. I'm like, yeah, I kind of know why. He goes, what's that supposed to mean? Well, I'm just telling you, they don't like me being out there. They don't like me having that conversation. They don't want it out. I said, so that's a lot of it. So coming here, especially knowing your show is watched by a lot of people in Blount County, that scares the hell out of them. So yeah, I don't know if something happened. Yeah, resolute exposure. I am supposed to be on, I think, this Thursday. We're talking more constitutional law. I think he does a section on there, but we had a great time. We'd like to thank them from Resolute Exposure, that team over there here in Blount County. Give them a shout out. Yes, I still talk with Jessica Saxton. Yes, Jessica Saxton, as you guys know, we both had the same magistrate and the same judge. That's how we're connected. She does her thing. I don't have a problem with what she can go do her thing. That doesn't bother me, but that's how we're connected. Is, like I said, it's more than just the movement stuff. It's the corruption of the same damn people. Yeah, there's a lot going on, and I think there's a couple new bills coming up. People are, I know I'm talking to a lot of people that are trying to propose state bills, some that are proposing some federal bills. They've come across my my desk for review and opinion with some of those different things there. I've done what I can. I'm only one person, but like I said, I've been slammed with everything that I've had going on. And like I said, just keeping up with everything that has going. And I know when this federal thing starts kicking back off, it's going to be freaking crazy. And that's one of those things. PM Eastern Standard Time. Here on YouTube, we're getting ready to go live on Rumble. We are on Facebook. You guys may be seeing those, so hopefully we're going to gather more with the Rumble. A lot of people catch us on the rebound or the replay, usually after the show. Oh, God, I missed the show. That's okay. Go to YouTube. You can find it. It'll replay. I think sometimes on Facebook it'll allow it to do so much for so many days. So you guys can share those too. But man, get the word out. The idea is education. We're just here once a week. We hang out with you guys for like an hour and a half. Do our best to educate you, give you information, some of the current events, so on and so forth. But not everybody takes and keeps up with this stuff. But we try to share it as we can and how it all works. Because even like I said on Resolute Exposure, we can't just talk about CPS without talking about the family courts, without talking about the executive orders from different presidents, or we're doing with this with laws, and why? Because it's all interconnected, It's all a spider web. They walk hand in hand. And this is why when you go to take out one section and then you wonder why it grows back like cancer, it's mainly because of that, because it is something and it will respawn. It's kind of like a hydra. Cut one head off and two come back. And I warn a lot of people, I says, make sure that you do things like if you're getting your cases dismissed, get it dismissed before they make sure that it's with extreme prejudice so they can't. And I've seen this happen all the time. Hey, I just got out of the CPS case from my case. I finally got it dismissed. And they wait like a week or two. And while they've had all this time to investigate and all this other stuff, then they'll go to the court like next door. And I've seen them, I've heard stories or people that have told me, and shown me that what they've had. They were literally in the court right next door. So once you got the case dismissed or anything else done, they were already next door opening a whole new case with a whole bunch of different evidence. And they're making all the corrections and things they screwed up in the first case. And they get a different judge to sign on it. So by the time you walk out, you think, man, I'll get my kids back and everything else. And it doesn't happen. Why? Because they serve you right there. Hey, your kids have been taken again. Why? Over something completely different. It had nothing to do with the other case. Lawyers are really good at that one because they'll turn around and go, well, and this is how they work together. I got you off of that case, and you've got a whole new case. If you still want me to represent you, you pay off the bill before I can represent you again. What the hell? Why didn't you protect me from this other one? Well, they're two separate cases. What are you going to do, guys? Hey, see you next week. Stay educated. Piss somebody off with your knowledge. Share with a new parent and everybody else, even expecting parents, what to expect of CPS. Educate them on that. Point is, get your education now because you're going to fight better if you have already this knowledge and you know what to do and you've got the education to do it, how to approach it and everything else. You're ahead of the curve. Don't wait till they come knocking on your door and say, it'll never be me. Because that's not going to happen. And, everybody says, that's when they find out, oh, I didn't know this and this, and then I had to come up with money, then I had to find an attorney. And at the same time, the attorney didn't do all this and this and that. Now that I'm finding out, oh my gosh, there was this and that. You are responsible for your case. When you go in with an attorney, you're telling the court you're incompetent to stand on your own recognizance. Don't be that person that gets caught and your stuff caught up. Know the rules before they start. That's all we got to do. Educate each other. You guys kick butt. We love you guys. You're a great audience. Check us again next week. Same time, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Every Sunday as best we can. We'll keep you up to date. Like I said, our filings are caught up and we're getting caught up. We've got a lot of things moving, a lot of things going. Dynamics are changing. Things are changing, evolving for the good. But stay strong. Stay true to yourself. Stay true to your principles. Stay true to your code. Don't ever let anybody take it. Ever compromise it, you guys. Love you guys. Stay strong. Love on each other. Support each other the best you can. Make sure that it does on good people. You don't waste your energies. That whole thing. Don't waste your time on somebody that's not going to give it back or help themselves. Love you guys. See you next week. Have a great week. Happy Easter.
Cry, held by the flicker of hope. Parents grasping onto fraying rope. The system feeds on power and greed. But truth is the weapon these families need. The fight's not fair, the battle burns hot. Gunner won't stop, he's giving all he's got for the families lost against the tide. Justice is his banner, truth is his guide. Gunning for justice, won't back down.